600 puts, 3 times the number of calls, drives pin day for Tesla on Friday, the 4th of June, 2021. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. We also want to thank our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the show, please take time to like and subscribe. And if you'd like more information about better investing and trading in Tesla, please join us on Patreon as well. So we post on Patreon every morning during the trading week, and today's post was based on some research that reflects a process that the market makers do when it comes to Tesla. In particular, what we are focused on today is the fact that today's Thursday, options expiration is coming up on Friday, the 4th. So, kind of why is this a big deal? So, I'd like to request that you type into your Google bar Yahoo Finance Tesla, and then at the middle right of the page, you'll see a line that says options. So, if you look in options right now, there are approximately 3,000 open interests at 600 call. There are 9,000 open interest puts at 600 put. So this ratio being 3-to-1 is a really interesting ratio in terms of what the ambitions are of market makers. So basically, I developed this concept over years of trading, and I kind of call it the screw you effect, which is that whenever you have a ratio that's greater than 2-to-1, and particularly when you're talking 5, 10-to-1, there's all of a sudden a phenomenon where market makers make a huge amount of money by screwing the largest number of people. So in this case, the issue that's popped up is that there are a large number of market makers who sold puts. And their objective was that they expect for Tesla to be below $600 a share at the close of business on the 4th of June, 2021. So with that in mind, the number one way for people who've sold those puts to make money is to have them expire worthless. How do you do that? By having the stock finish the day higher than 600. So the greater the ratio imbalance between puts and calls, the more incentive the market makers have to manipulate the stock price. So I wrote a note to our Patreon supporters this morning while Tesla was in that 590, 591 zone, and I said, look, if you look at how the put-call ratios work, there's a very low likelihood that Tesla finishes below 600 for the reasons I just described. There's a very high likelihood it finishes above 600 and likely above 610 on Friday. And the reason is that it allows the market makers to optimize the amount of profit they make. And when you're talking 9,000 puts, it's very profitable for those that sold those to control the price of the stock to finish out the day at a certain number, i.e. above 600, but likely above 610. And the reason is that you kind of don't want to cut it too close, because some really smart people on the other side of that trade may figure out how to push the stock $1 or $2 and get it, sub 600. So a 610-ish is about the right number for this situation. So I wanted to bring this up today because I'm kind of stunned that it's actually working as we predicted, and impressed at the ability of the market makers to make it happen in a down market. Pushing the stock up like that is fairly impressive. But because they've been doing the same thing pretty much 80% of the time for the last year and a half that we've been carefully watching it, it was not a shock. Another So I had a conversation yesterday with a trading buddy who focuses on actually using the 90-day moving or the 200-day moving average and other numbers from charting to figure out where things might go. And I would say that for those of you who are chartists, I think it's a good thing. The more information anybody has to make decisions, it's always a good thing. And I think that in this case, it's a great thing to be prepared, if you will. So I'm really happy about I'm not happy about the fact that Tesla stock price is down, but I'm happy about the fact that we want our viewers to make money. And the better you understand the environment and what's happening, the better the chance you can maybe ride with the market makers and make money, or anticipate what's going to happen and be better prepared for what is going to occur. I have to say our show was kind of delayed today because I was not happy to see Tesla's stock price drop. There's too much good news out there for the company for that to stay the case, and I was very disappointed to see it be lower. But I have to say that there's a lot of forces that drive any and every stock, and that includes Tesla. And so we're really looking forward to the company doing great next week. Now, speaking of next week, as you know, it's the Plaid introduction. Folks are going to be able to order and get cars during this quarter, so we're going to see some nice revenue bumps off of that. And I think Elon ends up answering a few extra questions that allows us to get a better overall feel for how and what Tesla's doing. So I'd have to say that I'm very much looking forward to seeing this and then seeing the impact it has, because there's been so much negative news that's been flying across for Tesla. The next thing I wanted to cover is the fact that most stocks that are this big, I guess we could call it Apple or maybe Google, some of these stocks, you'll notice that they don't tend to have high volatility in the way Tesla does. This brings up the issue that if you're an investor in Tesla and you're wanting to manage your investment well, it might be in your best interest to consider, developing trading abilities when it comes to trading a bit of options. And the reason is that Tesla's ability to move dramatically, be it 100 points up or 100 points down, forces you to really have some grasp of what's happening and a way to manage it if you choose to, in terms of managing the risk of holding the stock because of the notorious volatility that was just talked about. So I am absolutely thrilled that I can look in the eye the folks that are on that top end of our Patreon group, because we're able to sort of predict what the stock was going to do based on getting a feel for the ratio sense of how the puts and calls are working. And so I have to admit, for those of you who did get the email this morning, I will say that I wrote the email based on the data that we work with to figure out what's going to happen, but I didn't write it based on a gut feel of things. And I'm thrilled to see it working. It hasn't fully worked out yet in the manner that we expected it would. And I have to say, I still had to stick to my guns on what the data said, despite the fact that we are seeing the stock down, not up, as we headed into the early morning period today. So congratulations to those of you who got the information and were able to leverage that information to sort of manage your investments a little better. So I'd have to say that at this point, I want to sort of start moving on. We actually have a show coming on tomorrow focused on what's going on in China for Tesla. There's been a lot of discussions going on regarding domestic Chinese manufacturers taking market share from Tesla and other negative news that's been presented by a lot of press. There's two issues that I'm having with that analysis. Number one is the chip shortage. There are a lot of entities that were expecting they'd have no problems getting rolling because they would be expecting to get chips that are not currently doing so. And if you're a small player, trying to get into the chip line is very difficult. The second issue that's popping up is marketplace growth. According to a lot of researchers, the marketplace for electric vehicles in China will grow from 1.5 million to 3 million vehicles next year. So if Tesla continues to get its commensurate market share, other vendors in the Chinese market can actually be doing fairly good business. And instead of it being a net loss to Tesla, Tesla can grow nicely in that space. And then the other, point, as we earlier pointed out, is that, well, guess what? It kind of doesn't matter if other people get their sales, because Tesla is actually having some issues as well when it comes to supply chain, etc. So I think we have to sort of recognize that negative press is going to come out, but I also want to recognize that the employees of Tesla are doing a great job, and I think that we're going to see some good results for the quarter, and with the additional revenue and profit from Plaid, things just get better. Any rate, I look forward to our Thursday show exposing some new information we've gleaned from the Chinese Tesla situation, because frankly, that country is going to represent 50% of Tesla's sales going forward over the next few years, and at least a once a month, if not twice a month show is appropriate. But at the same time, you can't put stuff out there unless it's quality information that's helpful in most people's grasp of what's going on with the company. So we look forward to your constructive criticism of our show. Please take time to like and subscribe, and join us at Patreon if you would. We do have a few shares of SpaceX if there's interest in that. The next thing I'd like to do is move on to our health tips. If you enjoy lovemaking, please make a point of only having a salad rather than a full meal because all the blood flow to your stomach will reduce blood flow to other parts of the body, and therefore enjoyment of that activity. We also wanted to encourage you to consider 5-2 or another of the fasting diets. I'm working with one myself, and I think it's awesome. Number 3 is core training will really help you if you have back issues. Those might include, bicycle sit-ups, if you will, along with stretches that I think will give you a lot more pain reduction and flexibility in the process. I would say yoga would be on that list as well. The final one that I wanted to bring in is a concept called sleep apnea. So there are a number of apps that you can put on your phone that will actually record your sleeping overnight if you're living alone, but obviously your partner can tell you if there's a lot of snoring going on. But sleep apnea is a very big deal associated with snoring typically, and I highly encourage you to do your own process for identifying, recording, and having your doctor guide you through the process of folks helping you to figure this out, because it can be deadly, and we want you to be healthy and alive for that reason. So sleep apnea is what it's called, and plenty of apps you can use to help you manage it better. I've had several friends who, upon my recommendation, sort of followed up and had doctor recommendations to address this problem. And I wanted to encourage you to consider that as well. So we want to again thank you for joining us. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss German, au revoir French, Lehit Road Hebrew, Choda Hafez Farsi, Zdravstvuyte Russian, Ni Hao Ma Chinese, Konbanwa Japanese, Namaste Hindi, Good day our friends in Australia, Hey Do our friends in Sweden, and in Jamaica we say enough respect, walk good. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day, and bye for now.